2020 has been a whirlwind. I mean, coronavirus, social unrest, and record low interest rates. I mean, there's so much going on, it's hard to keep track of it all. But what I want to talk to you about today is generational wealth and what you can do that may have an impact on someone else's ability as well as your own ability to create and maintain generational wealth. So, what I'm going to walk you through is a very real and very recent scenario that is still going on today. I mean, we're sitting at September 2020, and it's just outright discrimination. Some might even call it the new form of redlining. So, as I mentioned, interest rates are at a record low. At this point in time, something like 50% of Americans have taken advantage of this low interest rate. I mean, either through a refinance or purchasing a new home. Um, so my wife and I, naturally, we wanted in on the action. So, you know, credit scores are great, make well over six figures. So we didn't think that there would be any issues when it came to refinancing. Uh, we would find out that there are some issues. So we live in a well-established neighborhood in Wichita, Kansas, and I mean, like we are like a mile and a half away from the Coke Estate. So we're around very good, well sought after area. And more importantly, there's a house 10 doors down from us. I mean, if there wasn't a house in my peripheral, I'd be able to see this house right now from where I sit today. And it sold recently for a very fair and reasonable price. It was built around the same time as ours, smaller square footage, uh, not as updated. We've done more updates, but that'll come into play a little bit later. So we started our refinance process in May, kind of in the heat of the coronavirus, if you will. And process was going pretty smooth. It looked like we were going to close in like 15 days. I mean, it was fast. We got our first appraisal from a company called Dahl's Appraisal Services, conducted by Mr. Mark Dahl himself. And this was an older gentleman. I mean, I noticed when he came, he had like a camera that was maybe 3.5 megapixels. I didn't think much of it, you know. I was like, hey, he's older. It was in the heat of the coronavirus. We didn't say much. The whole thing felt very odd, but I chalked it up to just, we're in odd times. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Until we got the report back. I mean, a lot of the numbers didn't make any sense. And when we tried to point that out to him, it was met with a lot of aggression. Our loan officer, David Conti, shout out to him. I mean, he went above and beyond. But when he saw the numbers, he was like, man, this doesn't make sense to me. Is there something that I'm missing? And I said, it doesn't make sense to us either. We felt the same way. We tried to make it, hey, maybe it was, maybe he had an intern do it, and we just talked to him. He'll say, oh yeah, this is my mistake. Maybe there was some things that he didn't highlight. There's some things that aren't in the pictures. Maybe he's doing a lot of these and he just got the houses mixed up. Um, when we pointed things out to him and tried to offer up more comparable units or buildings, he's like, again, met with a lot of aggression. So our loan officer went above and beyond, got us a second appraisal. Um, and when we got that second appraisal back, it became very apparent that there were no real excuses for that first appraisal. Um, it it was egregious. I mean, We felt violated. So the second appraisal was done mid-July. So it took longer. I mean, this whole process is extended out now at this point. But let's go by the numbers. So the first appraisal was $6,000 less than the appraisal we got 3 years ago when we bought the house. Before, by the way, that we did a master renovation. I mean, we got it the whole master bedroom, did a whole master bath ensuite, renovated that whole thing. So the first appraisal we got this year was $6,000 less than the appraisal 3 years ago, and it didn't even account for the renovations that we did. Another number, 76K. The appraisal by Dahl Services was 76K less than that house 10 doors down that I could see if I was sitting right here. 76K. And the biggest number of all, 101. $101,000 less than the second appraisal a month later. What was the difference? No difference whatsoever. It's just one person's very close-minded. One company came and did a job and was open and looked at the property. So I thank God that it's not something bigger. It could be life or death. This could have been a real issue. But, I can chalk it up to it was a waste of our time. It extended the process out a lot longer. But the reason I wanted to take the time to share this experience with you guys is because I want you to think about in your day-to-day when you do something that seems small or seems to only have a little impact or maybe satisfy something in you, think about how it could impact other people and how it could have an impact on their generational wealth. What if I didn't know I could demand a second appraisal? What if I didn't have such a good loan officer? Then what? That would have been 101K that someone took out of my pocket, my family's pocket. For what? Because of the color of our skin? Does that seem fair to you? So, I got some links below and some articles, the New York Times, CNBC. This is a very real problem that's going on. And you don't have to take it. You don't have to sit idly by and let this happen to you. So I encourage you to see if there's things that happen in your day-to-day life that may have an impact on your generational wealth. Thank you. God bless.